So speaking of feel-good stories, we got we don't talk about the NHL much. And before I get into the feel-good story of the year, I do want to remind you two and listeners that this past week marked the 40th anniversary of the Miracle on Ice when the USA defeated Russia in the 1980 Lake Placid Olympics. If you don't know about it, read about it. I'm not going to give you the skinny, but Murr, you were 7 months old. You probably remember the ins and outs. Tell us your memories of that event.
Well, I remember rolling over in my crib and thinking, like, we need to really put it to the Red Scare right about now. I mean, this is communism versus the free world. And, you got a bunch of ragtag, lackluster amateurs going up against the greatest professional hockey players the world has ever seen. I don't think they'd been beaten in all these years. And just in my infant mind, I just thought to myself, there's no way. It's literally going to take a miracle on this ice for us to be victorious. And lo and behold, we made it happen because we're America and we do shit.
That's prophetic.
It's unbelievable. I knew. I got to tell you, I had a hunch that even at 7 months old, that you were instrumental from a fan standpoint in what happened in Lake Placid, New York. Well, thank you, and you're a true American. So what I wanted to get into, and I don't know if you guys heard about this. I only read tabloids about it. Again, I don't watch much hockey, but so the Carolina Hurricanes are visiting in Toronto, the Maple Leafs. Carolina's first-string goalie, James Reimer, gets hurt in the first period. Okay?
Yep.
So midway through the second, Petter, P-E-T-E-R, some last name I'm going to butcher, M-R-A-Z-Z-K-C-K.
Something Russian.
Yes. So he gets hurt, and I didn't realize this, that every professional hockey team will have the home team carries a third-string emergency goalie. Toronto's no different. Insert David Ayers, 42-year-old Zamboni driver. He's a practice goalie for Toronto's AHL affiliate, the Toronto Marlies. Okay,
so he's a practice goalie for the minor league team.
That's right. And he's a Zamboni driver. I know a David Ayers out of Millville, New Jersey. Hell of a golfer. Don't know what he does by trade, but I have a hunch he's not moonlighting as a Zamboni driver in Toronto. I'd find that incredible that you're not just, this doesn't happen in other professional sports. Like, hey, David, look, going to need you to sit ringside just in case, or not ringside. Going to need you to sit
rinkside.
But wait, was he there to smooth the ice between periods, or was he there to be the backup goalie?
I think in this case it was the third string emergency goalie. He wasn't. Oh, he's a minor league Zamboni driver. All right, leave that to the pros.
But he could step in third string as a professional goalie. Apparently. I like to think that he climbed up there in skates and goalie pads between periods. It was like, whoop, let's clear this up. Let's get this nice and ready for the gang. And then he drove out and skated back out.
His boss said, Ayers, get your ass up there.
Yeah, get it.
Drive the fucking Zamboni.
Yep.
Then remember, I don't know if you guys are Cheers aficionados, but Carla's husband, her first husband, died. He got ran over by a Zamboni, the Boston Garden. I don't remember his name. But so he's an on-call emergency goalie. He's watching the game. He gets brought in. Okay. Carolina's up. They built a pretty good lead. First two shots are goals. All right. Not feeling too good about yourself.
Not great.
But then the 42-year-old settled down, stopped his next 8 shots to secure a 6-3 victory for the Hurricanes, a team he's not even employed by. That's that's the other thing about it, is that he could play for either team in case of emergency. He played for the opposing Carolina Hurricanes. He was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll go in. Won himself $500, got to keep the jersey. Whew. Have you ever heard some?
That's it?
Yeah.
NHL, do better. Come on, man. $500 and you get to keep the shirt? Come the fuck on.
No, I don't know what the league minimum is for a 42-year-old Zamboni driver.
I don't really know what the budget is in the NHL, really. So maybe.
Well, I have done some research. A Zamboni driver makes $11 an hour. So there's that.
So solid day of work.
They did make him his own like commemorative shirt that they will be selling, and he will get a portion of those proceeds as well.
That might be a bestseller.
But I didn't realize that this guy was like all-time quarterback, like as far as like backup goalies go. Like, if we lose 4 goalies tonight, you're going in for somebody. Got it?
Yeah.
Got it.
This is an all-time quarterback.
And I wonder too, is how many times he's done this versus how many times it's actually happened. I'm assuming this is it. I've never heard of him going on. And whether or not he can indulge in Toronto a couple Labatt's Blues or a couple Molson Goldens as he's awaiting his fate.
I think it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, you can't drink.
You can't drink. What do you mean I can't drink?
I ain't going in. I ain't playing.
Now, I know that this is supposed to be the feel-good story, but I don't. Is it kind of like, I don't know, make you a loser to be the guy who's 42 years old who just waits around to see if like 2 other guys get hurt so you can play like 15 minutes of a hockey game because you're too old to do anything else?
I mean, maybe a little.
I mean, but the guy sniffed the creme de la creme of a sport he plays.
Played professional hockey,
and he also plays.
He already played professional.
He's a backup goalie for the
minor league team,
the Marlies. I didn't want to. I was about to say the Marlins, and I had to double check that.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So it's a little. I mean, he makes a little scratch that he was also a kidney transplant recipient 15 years ago. He said he wasn't even sure he was going to play hockey anymore.
What a fact!
Yeah,
this fucking guy, 42, wow. 1 kidney, making it to the show.
Yeah,
did he call it the
show? I hope.
I guess this kind of does go to show you how few, like what the percentage of people who can actually play professional sports really is, because they have depleted all the greatest players that you can kind of get together, rustle together to make the entire NHL, and then it comes down to we got nobody. What's homeboy making $11 an hour doing tonight? Just get him rink side. So just in case the shit hits the fan. Like that's how few players are good enough to play the sport professionally.
And I
wonder,
especially
goalie in hockey. Sorry to cut you off.
Sure.
But like that is like I think famously like one of the hardest positions in all of sports.
Right.
Right? I think that's what I've always heard.
Wow, this is proving otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably pretty good.
I don't know how the skills of a Zamboni driver translate, but he's been on the obviously he played some. It's just
ice knowledge.
I do now. You've opened Pandora's box in my thought tank here when you said about how many of these guys how many of the third string, because apparently this is league wide.
This is a thing.
There's a person who's waiting for 2 goalies on either team to get injured to go in, and it doesn't matter if it's the team that you're employed by or the opposing team. How many of those are young lions that are trying to?
Probably a good amount
on the up and up. You don't think there's too many 42-year-old David Ayers?
No, yeah. There's probably like 1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
We need to get him on the show.
This was what, in Vancouver, you said? Or somewhere?
Toronto.
Of course, it's in Canada.
Yeah, but to me, it's almost the equivalent of, like, I don't know, there's a baseball game that goes, like, 21 innings, and you have to get the guy who threw the ceremonial first pitch out to come and throw an inning because you're depleted on players. Like, it just seems kind of a really sketchy way of doing business
the
in
old
the pros.
Chris Davis and Fenway?
Yeah. I mean, but see, those are athletes. You're not plucking away someone from the grounds crew.
But the guy's an athlete.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, he's old, but this is what he did. Correct? He played. Is he not an actual backup
for the AHL
minor
team.
League team? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like minor league hockey. I mean, it's not as good, clearly, but it does. It's not terrible.
It does add a bit of a slap shot element to where he makes so little as the backup goalie that he moonlights as a Zamboni driver.
Yep.
For that
and third string emergency goalie for the hockey team.
Yeah, and he's $500 richer. Let's not forget that.
And he got himself a cool sweater.
The funny thing, though, too, is everybody's making a big deal of it because he's 42. And then you look around like the NFL, and you've got Tom Brady, you've got Drew Brees, Those two guys are still like top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. You got when Favre left, when Manning left. I mean, these guys were in their 40s when they left, so they were still at the top of the game. So it just goes to show that you can still perform at that level at that age. And it's just funny they're acting like this guy's like some geriatric that just happened to come straight off the ice, straight off the old ice flattening machine,
right?
To make it happen,
So he's not your standard Zamboni driver. We get that.
Yeah.
Now Brady apparently follows an impeccable diet, an impeccable training regimen. Do you think David Ayers is close? No.
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
So he's just a specimen.
Sausages and fucking. He's in Canada, so poutine for sure.
Right.
Like tons of it.
I don't know what they eat up in Toronto.
Lots of cheese curds and gravy. French fries and gravy, sir.
Cheese curds and gravy. That's just funny.
Get it all in there. Get it all curdy.
Mr. Ayers, I mean, I want to see more, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, unless 2 goalies get hurt in Toronto.
Yeah.
You guys going to go see a Maple Leafs game? Make it happen?
No,
shoot darts at someone?